Hey everyone, and welcome back to Remember This Tech. On today's episode, we're going to be revisiting the Pentium 4 650. It's a socket 775 CPU. It runs at 3.4 gigahertz with the L2 cache of 2 meg, and it is hyper-threading enabled. Not only that, it's 64-bit instructions. So what am I going to do with this today? Well, I'm going to do something kind of crazy. Some of you might say, stupid perhaps, but I'm going to try to see if it'll run Windows 10. If it can even install it, that is, Windows 10 Pro 64-bit. This CPU is released in 2005, February, and it's long in the tooth for sure. I'm going to be pairing it with the Gigabyte motherboard, which is a socket 775. It's a GA31MXS2 motherboard. It has 2 RAM slots, which is going to hinder us a bit, but we've got 4 gig of DDR2 in there. We're going to use the Lexar SSD, 256 gig for the OS and boot drive. I'm going to try to put on the Zalman 950 cooler, the pure copper. Then we will pair it with the RX 580 8 gig card, just to give it a little room to stretch its legs. We'll see what we can do with that. And we've got the Corsair CX750 fully modular power supply to give it enough power, because the CPU will pull 84 watts by itself, and it gets quite hot. So we're going to see if it plays YouTube, how can it even play YouTube, and overall functionality. I know this is a stretch, but I want to see if we can put Windows 10 on here and what we can do with it. Come on along with me today and let's get right to it. This is going to be exciting, or it could be an experience and new level of pain for me. So let's go! But first, we have to pull this motherboard out so I can get the screws from the adapter on the mounting bracket for the Zalman 9500, so we can try to mount this thing, and we'll pull out the quad core 9550 in there, which would run Windows 10 way much better. But let's get to it. Let's pull this board. I may be in luck. I pulled the back of the case out here, and it looks like we should be able to pop out and pop on the new and old brackets for the cooler and heatsink. So let's, fingers crossed, let's get to it. Pulled out the old Core 2 quad 9550, and in goes the 650 Pentium 4. What a downgrade. But you know what? We got to see what we can do on this channel, and that's what we're about to do. Now let's see if we can get some brackets in here for the cooler and go from there. Bracket for the 9500 Zalman fits on here like this, or another way, and then the side brackets, one of the two, put on with a fan retention clip right here, and that's how the only thing that holds the fan down onto the CPU. I find it best to get 1 or 2 of these started. You don't have to hold them from each side and then hold this while you tighten them down in the front, and then you can align the rest with your cooler in a little bit. And there you have that. So you can put it in the right position and then put your behemoth of your power supply in. Otherwise you're going to have a time, because you're going to have to remove this, and then you're going to have to put your power supply in, because you got to hook up your power supply to your 4-pin power connector in the back of the board anyways, which is going to be a nightmare. So anyways, okay, so the fan blows from this direction here out this way, so it should coincide with the exhaust fan. It's on. The great thing about a modular power supply is that you only need the cables hooked up that you need. In this case I need serial ATA power, and then the PCI Express for the graphics, the 24-pin ATX power, and the 4-pin for the board. Most of these parts in this computer build are pure overkill. for the Pentium 4 that is, but this is PCI Express 2.0. See, this doesn't fit on the RAM slots. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This card's too big. I kind of wedged it in there, and I'm gonna have to move the graphics card up and hold it there, and hopefully it doesn't screw up the PCI Express slot or the RAM slots, but I'm gonna make it happen. Alright, everything's in, everything's tightened down, and then we're gonna try to load Windows 10 from the USB. Let's get to it. Alright, let's go into the BIOS, see if it sees the CPU. Sees the SSD, great. Alright, what do we got here? Alright, 28C for the CPU, not bad. Alright, well, 17x multiplier, 200 times 17. Let's see if we can boot from the USB Windows 10 Pro 64-bit and go from there. Save. Alright, going into the boot menu, let's see if we can manually force this to boot from the USB. See, it keeps thinking it's a invalid partition table, and I think that there's going to be one of two solutions here. It probably, I thought that the CPU had 64-bit instruction capability, or the motherboard's goofed up, so I don't know. So let me look into this. Spend all that time and it doesn't work. I mean, maybe that drive in here is too ancient. It might not be able to read dual layers. Jesus, what the hell's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? Let's just kill it. You're right. I swapped out the DVD ROM drive because sometimes it can't read dual layers or something, and who knows. But this one should be able to. And saw a flicker of life, and we'll just sit here and watch it fail again, or not. I saw a Windows symbol pop up, and then it frickin' rebooted. What a piece of shit. Alright, got a dual layer readable DVD burner reader. See if we can't boot Windows 10 Pro from it. Apparently the system has problems booting from USB, so, and it's attempting to do it. Did this before, so who knows. I'm not really holding my hopes up high on this one. It always attempts to load it. It looks like it's loading it. It doesn't give you progress though. Yeah, it does that. It reboots. It looks like it's loading and then it just reboots. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. It's totally screwed. And then it does this effing blue screens. Gonna try a workaround. This is weird, but you know, I'm gonna see if I can install Windows 7 64-bit on this. Why? Because if it has an operating system, I can do an in-place upgrade from Windows 10. So let's try that. If this doesn't install, then we're basically not gonna go very much farther, okay? Disk is in. Oh, look at this. It likes it, or it seems to. Yeah. I seem to remember something about doing this on an old system and putting Windows 7 or something on there, 64-bit, and then loading Windows 10, you know, within the operating system update. So let's just see how this works. If we can install 7 Pro 64-bit, that's one thing, right? Didn't really want to do a Windows 7 video, and I'm not going to. But that's how this may end up in the long run. So let's see how this goes. We got Windows 98 SE. Let me see, did it reboot like the other one? No, it did not. It seems like it's happier with this for some reason. Don't ask me why. Windows 10 has the requirements to run this. Windows 7 has the requirements to run on this CPU as well. I don't 2 gig RAM, so OMG, it's here. Took forever to load up, but it's here. It's here, and it'll probably take even longer to install if it lets me. This system has only SATA 2 ports, which is not horrible, but oh, it's so slow. This processor is so slow. And it finally came up. Let's see if it'll let me do this bit. Alright. Alright, we're underway. If we get through this part, wow, we'll just take it from there. I may review this Windows 7 Pro as a flashback kind of video, but I want to push forward and see if I can't install Windows 10 on this. So we'll see. Fingers crossed that we can even get this to install. So let's let it go and do its thing. We'll see how long it takes. Windows 7 Pro desktop did have a sleek feel to it. I mean, it was a huge step up over Windows XP, but you know, look, I mean, just farting around on the desktop is fine, right? Let's see the properties. Alright, so Windows 7 Professional, right? 64-bit operating system. Let's use a Pentium 4, 3.4 gigahertz. Great. If you see in the device manager, the generic stuff. So sees the Pentium 4 with 3.4 gigahertz with the hyper-threading. It shows 2, but it's only got 1 CPU core. So let's see how much processor overhead it's pulling performance. So 730 meg of the 4 gig of RAM's taken up. Just moving the mouse around, you know, it spikes to 8%, but it's really not horrible, and it's pretty fast. We don't have anything running, so obviously that's our system. Probably can't get on the web with this. Who knows? It looks like it's. But I'm not gonna go too far into this system. What we're gonna do is try to load Windows 10 Pro from the USB. Oh wow! Look at this. Actually, letting me get on here. Update your browser. Yeah. So let's not do this. Let's put in Windows 10, see if we can update it, the system from the USB now to Windows 10 Pro. Looks like you can see it. Let's see if we can run the setup. And maybe we'll get to be able to put Windows 10 Pro on here in a manner of fashion. Alright, this is what we have here. Go online, get updates. Do I want to make it better? Sure, you could see that I'm running this instant old system. Yeah, let's do that. Alright. It's going to do the check. And by all means, it has what it needs to run it. 1 gigahertz CPU is all it requires and 1 gig RAM, but it is going to do the check regardless. And if it passes it, it'll let me do it. I don't see why it wouldn't. Other than ancient hardware, you know. Okay, there's a workaround somehow of this. Alright, well, I'm switching gears. Having a fun time with this build, not. So, I'm going to try Windows 11. I'm going to try the bypass registry hacks and see what we can do. There's a way to, well, first if it boots, then there's a way to hit a combo of keys and then go through and do the TPM bypass and a couple other things while it's installing. So let's try that. Menu to command prompt, I think it's Shift F10. And when you hit Shift F10, supposedly you can get into command prompt and you can type regedit, and that's where you're going to put in the bypass regedits. And then you should be able to pass the checks to install Windows 11. And I think this works the same for 10. But my Windows 10 disk isn't great apparently. And for whatever reason it's old, corrupt, I don't know. And I don't have any more disks on hands, but I do have the Windows 11 disk. So that's what I'm going to try. I've seen other people try it with a lower end Pentium 4, like a 630 or a 631, 650 even. So this is first. Let's give it a try. And it could be that the motherboard's too old too, so let's give it a shot. Shift F10 should get me in the command prompt. If I can get into there, then maybe I can enter those bypasses. Fingers crossed. And then it goes back into the reboot. The problem is I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm gonna have to go into see if it boots into Windows 7 Pro again, and then try it from the desktop there. Edit those registry keys if it lets me in on Windows 7 and go from there. I don't know. Well, it's good to see Windows 7 boots at least. We'll go ahead and get into Windows 7 Pro and we'll change the reg settings here. And maybe that won't work. Maybe I gotta do it when the system's installing, but. Alright, so we gotta go into H key local machine, system setup. System setup. Under setup, we have to set up a key called lab config. Now, I don't even know if this is gonna work, but this is what I saw another person do, and we gotta put some new keys in here. New D word. And a 32-bit value, and we're going to call this bypass TPM check, and then set that to value of 1. Okay. Enter new D-word 32-bit value, and this is bypass secure boot. Do bypass CPU check as well, and I don't even know if that's, it could be it, I don't know. We'll see it. Alright, here's the key test. Windows 11 disk, because system's having issues booting from USB. Some of them don't boot from there. So let's see if it actually comes up with a prompt. Alright, run setup exe. And if it doesn't take the registry keys that I took just now, I put it on the local Windows 7. And I'll have to run Shift F10 hopefully. And then we'll have to go through and enter them again. Somehow maybe it pushes it to system RAM. I don't know. I don't know the logistics behind it, but that's what I'm testing for. It seems to be setting up faster this way than Windows 10 did before. I can't guarantee anything's gonna work. Drink some coffee. Alright, we're almost to the moment of truth. And just put next. And then it'll check. It'll check to see if the PC meets the requirements. TPM check and CPU check. And it'll either tell me to pound sand, or it's going to Oh great, you know, those windows check, those keys worked. It might not work this way. I doubt it will. Really doubt it. But never know. Here it comes. Here it comes. It says FU. FU, FU, FU. Alright, well, I did F12 for the gigabyte boot menu, and I'm trying to do those registry keys here. Well, it's got everything in RAM and stuff like that. So if it gets to that point where it goes to install, then I've got a chance. If not, well, maybe I should have got a newer motherboard, but this is all I have, so. It doesn't lock up. Maybe we can, all we have is a cursor, so it hasn't locked up. That's a good sign. Fingers crossed. And we're gonna try loading Windows now. If we get through that, we can do stress tests and see what the cores register for speeds. So we are slowly but surely getting into install Windows. Can't be sure if it's just the age of the CPU, you know, or if it's actually just slow because of the USB slot I put it in, or if the fourth core is kind of giving the system a little bit of an issue. But we're gonna give it an old college try. You know what's really weird? It never showed the percentage for copying Windows files over. Not 1% moved. Now it's showing that the getting ready for installation is progressing, but it didn't do that for the first one, so I don't know what's going on, but hey, let's let it finish. We're gonna try to bypass the TPM check as a script, and all right. If you run it again, it's gonna uninstall. Windows 11 is trying to check the system. It's trying to load. It's running from the DVD-ROM. Didn't run from the USB. I have Windows 7 64-bit on here. This is gonna take some time, but we'll let it go. And then it'll do its checks. See if the script really does bypass it or not. Will it work? Hold on. Having the network plugged in, it's gonna check the PC, and it says gonna let me? Will it? What? We want Pro. We want Pro, yeah. Let's see if it lets me. Let's keep fingers crossed. Let's keep going. Pentium 4, 650. Seeing if we can get Windows 11 installed on it with the script that I ran. This is awesome. I don't really think we need that. Let's see, install. Whoa, this is the furthest I've ever gotten, everyone. This is amazing. No, I'm not saying Windows 11 is going to run great on this PC, but if this installs, this is going to be phenomenal. I'll share this bypass script with you, where to get it, how to do it. If this completes, fingers crossed. Let's go! Windows 11 on a Pentium 4! Yeah! Trying to boot into Windows 11. Trying. Windows 11 home. Trying. Fingers crossed. Trying. Failed. So it died. Boot operation failure. So it reset it back to Windows 7 Pro. Here we are in the desktop again. Alright, we're trying to install Windows 10 32-bit, even though it has a 64-bit processor. We'll see if this will work, And then if we get that to load, then we'll go and try to wipe it and install 64-bit Windows 10 from within Windows 10, 32-bit. Of course, you have to reinstall and wipe your hard drive, so who knows. Let's do it. Let's let it do its thing. We've gotten to this part before where it kind of like reboots and it says, no, I'm not helping you. Not going any further. I refuse. I quit. So let's see how far this goes with Windows 10 32-bit. If it can just get Windows 10, I'll be happy, right? We can reboot now like you normally do. I saw a flashing screen. Here we are. This is it. Present Windows 10 32-bit to the world. Pentium 4. All right, we've gotten this far. Let's see if we can get past the checks. And then if we can, then great. All right, well, let's see if we can get through here. I don't know, product key. Windows 10 Home. Sounds good to me. The end versions I found out are, they won't let you use any media for whatever reason. Like CD-ROMs, DVD-ROMs. So let's see if we get here. We might have to go and seize the drives. Let's go here. Looks like it's installing Windows 10 32-bit. This is possibly a good sign. I swear I've gotten this before where it just copied and it had 0% and then it went here and then it did the installation and then it finished up with it and then it refused to boot or something. So let's let it do its thing. Maybe it'll work this time, maybe it won't. I have no hope at this point, none. And now it's giving me a percentage and it's accessing the DVD-ROM. It wasn't accessing it before. I don't know what the hell it's doing. 45%. Let's see what happens. 94%. Or it installs features, and if it works and it finishes up and we can boot from it, then we'll call this a minor success. Alright, we're restarting. Let's let it do its thing, and if it boots from the hard drive and finishes up, we might be okay. When it comes through the boot phase is when it usually tells me that it hates life and it won't continue, so let's see what happens. And there's Windows, but will it continue to boot or not? That's a different question. Alright, it says it's getting ready. This is one of the slowest computers I've ever had the pleasure to test build for you all today. Pentium 4 is not meant for 2024. Alright, well, this is a good sign, right? I hope. I don't know. Great. Cortana's on. I don't want Cortana on. Well, there you have it. This is Windows 10 32-bit on a Pentium 4. I have struggled with this for too long, and I don't know if I'm going to try at this point to get Windows 10 64-bit on here or even Windows 11. I think we'll leave that for a separate episode because this is just, people say it's easy to do blah blah blah, but it's not with this old motherboard and using a Pentium 4. So here's the device manager. If you see here the system, let's go right to this processor, Pentium 4 3.4 gigahertz. It shows 2 CPUs, but this is just hyper-threading enabled. This only has 1 core, 1 CPU. Here's the desktop, Pentium 4, 4 gig of RAM, 32-bit operating system. It has a 64-bit processor, but for whatever hell it put me through, it wouldn't let me install it. So I just realized something, and that since it's 32-bit Windows 10, the AMD RX 580 graphics drivers are only 64-bit. I can't run them on this system. there you are. Just there isn't drivers for this stuff. Check for updates. Yeah, there's updates. So I'll be honest, I don't really know how to end this video other than it was a semi-failure. I tried to get Windows 10 64-bit installed, tried to do Windows 11 64-bit. The bypass script and the registry bypasses didn't work. The BIOS is too old, doesn't support EFI. I got Windows 7 64-bit to install on this system, which is fine. But it's not fine because it's not what I was going for. It actually, you know, the CPU has 64-bit instruction sets, so I proved that. Why doesn't Windows 10 install? Why does Windows 11 go ahead and start to install and get all the way and it won't boot? It has an OS safety check failure. I don't know. It's just what it is. So sometimes, you know, trying to make this old hardware run new software just isn't worth the effort. I wanted to see if it could be done. It could be partially done. Can I fix it later? Maybe. But for now, I'm ending the video here. The system runs okay. It's very slow. You got to have a lot of patience to run this operating system with the Pentium 4. Do I advise trying this? Running Windows 10 on a 64-bit or Pentium 4? No. No. Use it for what it's intended. Running a retro game box like Windows 98 SE or XP or maybe even Windows 7, maybe at the most. This CPU just can't push around this modern software. You know, you could force it to run it and do it, but is it worth it? Is it worth the hassle? Is it worth the aggravation? No. And now when you can buy a 4-core, 8-thread E3-1241 V3 like I did in this video here, and the link above, and you would have a perfectly great gaming system for very little cost. Very little, with RAM and an SSD and a cheap motherboard. So yeah, it's not worth it. So thanks for coming along in this frustrating attempt to do what I shouldn't have been doing anyways. Thanks for watching. Remember this tech.